Now, on the national emergency. Over the weekend, a fourth Republican in the Senate, Rand Paul, announced his support for the resolution to terminate the president's national emergency, giving it the needed 51 votes to pass this chamber. It's clear members of both parties know that there is no actual emergency at the border. The president himself made that clear when announcing the state of emergency, that he didn't need to do this. When the president says, "I don't need to do this," he is saying there is no emergency. An emergency, by definition, is something you need to do. It's an emergency. In the president's own words, this is not an emergency. It's a political bone, a face-saving device to the president to throw to the right wing to show he's still fighting for the wall. But it goes way beyond simply how you feel on the wall, pro or con. It goes to the fundamental building blocks of how this country was structured. Congress has the power of the purse. Congress is a check on the executive. The Founding Fathers feared, probably above all anything else, having dealt with King George in the Revolution, that an overreaching executive was one of the greatest dangers to our democracy. And that's why so many presidents have respected and done emergencies only in the rarest of times. The last bunch of emergencies, either a war, 9/11, Desert Storm, diseases, real emergencies, climate things, real emergencies. I mean, disasters, hurricanes, tornadoes, in terms of what's happened with our weather and our climate. So, if this co-equal branch of government allows presidents, whomever they be, Democrat or Republican, to just declare an emergency whenever they want to achieve a partisan policy goal, it'll fundamentally alter the balance of power in this country in a way the Founding Fathers would be aghast at. My guess is, if George Washington or Benjamin Franklin or James Madison were looking down on this chamber, they'd want us to rise to the occasion. That was the democracy they wanted. I don't know if we will. Well, the founders of this nation gave the Congress one of the greatest powers any government has, the power of the purse. President Trump is trying to take these powers away even after Congress explicitly rejected several times the money for his wall. So, we Democrats know this. And now it's clear a growing number of Republicans know it as well. To allow this emergency to persist, it's a change in the fundamental, necessary, and often exquisite balance of power that marks the genius of the American Constitution. I know many of my friends on the other side of the aisle understand that. In fact, true conservatism, if you're a true conservative, not just a Trump acolyte, true conservatives realize that there shouldn't be too much power centralized in any place, because conservatism at its root believes in maximizing the freedom of the individual and minimizing anything that encroaches on it, including an overreaching executive. So to look the other way because President Trump wants this, because he's almost sometimes in a temper tantrum about this issue, it is so short-sighted, so detrimental to the long-term health and stability, viability of how this balance of power works. So let us come together on this issue. Democrats, Republicans, House and Senate, rise to the occasion. If Congress stands up, it'll be a reaffirmation of our democracy. It'll be a date historians note proudly decades from now. It will be a reaffirmation of the democracy the Founding Fathers wanted.